thing I'm gonna do for y'all is, I'm not sure if a lot of y'all in this space in your lives, especially that we all are coming out of a pandemic, although there's another way of coming. Basically, I've been dealing with like, realizing like, damn, like this, like in my mind, there's a conversation at times between me at 8 or 9 or 12 or 14 years old and me today. And I think it's a combination of like a lot of LSD. I did a lot of LSD in college, mushrooms, but also just like a lot of therapy. That like literally, I no longer see myself as this one that kind of culmination of things, but like a combination of people in a room conversing and I'm about to say conversating, but I wanted to show you that I was educated. So conversing, so we all conversing in the space, and I realized like I have a lot of moments where I'm talking to my younger self, and my younger self is talking to me now. I don't know if y'all deal with that a lot. It's especially helpful as you deal with confidence and self-esteem. Because when I went to my therapist, I was like, yo, people think I have a lot of confidence, but I do not have no confidence. Help me. And so it's been a journey. So basically, I think it helps me with my confidence because I realize a lot of my lack of confidence comes from like this little Antonio being afraid and stuff. So all that to say that this whole bit is gonna be me realizing things, like me telling my younger Antonio, like, yo, it's all good. So the first thing that I realized is that I love soup. I love soup. How many people really love soup? Woo! So y'all love soup? Damn, I'm mad ahead of time. So I used to hate soup. Soup was like, to me, growing up, you know, I remember in my mind, like, talking to little Antonio, soup was like, why are we having this like flavored water? You know, like, my mom used to make all kinds of great soup, but it was like too much liquids, too much fluids. I felt like I was getting gypped. So I've never been a fan of soup. The soups that I was a fan of are like goulashes, like meat goulashes, and like in Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Caribbean, there's something called sancocho. Anybody know what sancocho is? I'm looking at you, you better know what sancocho is. But like sancocho is like a meat goulash, there's a lot of meats, but that even in and of itself is scary because there'd be like whole drumsticks just in the soup, waiting for you to pick it up. And I'm like, yo, you're not supposed to have an interaction with the soup in your hands. So you got some were like mad weird. So I've never been a fan of soup, but man, these days I love soup. I'm going through a soup phase. It's lasting at least a year, maybe more than a year. But I'm in a soup phase, and it kind of reminds me like as a little kid, I used to hate soup, but then I made my own soup. I bought an Instant Pot. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but I was making soup for days. And then me making soup made me realize like soup is really good. So nowadays I love soup. I'm obsessed with soup. I love chicken noodle soup. I love sancocho now. I love all kinds of soup. Like tomato soup. Although tomato soup is weird. Like I need like a little like a partner, like a cheese, like cheese. You know, tomato soup is a little like. But I'm obsessed with soup. You know. And it was so weird because I was telling my wife, Janissa, I was like, yo, I love soup. Like there should be places all throughout the country where they give out soup, you know? And it would be like a place where like it's only dedicated to soup. And I was telling her, yo, it'd be like, it's like you go there, and when you ask, they're like, look, all we got is soup. The only thing we make in this kitchen is soup. And my wife was like, you talking about a kitchen soup, motherfucker? Like, I was like, holy shit, a kitchen soup. And I remember that's when I realized, like, yo, I'm at a social, economic point in my life. I'm not even paying attention to my privilege. And that's when I started realizing, like, I'm a privileged person, you know, like living life and realizing, like, my God, there's people out there who have to like go and who know what soup is about. They appreciate soup, and I got humbled real quick. But most of my life, I'm always kind of like cashing my ignorance, like. And it was one of those moments where I was like, damn, man, I realized like I'm over here talking about we should have soup kitchens. Meanwhile, like that's where you go when you don't like really have a lot of options. And speaking of that, like generally speaking, you know, the last couple of years, I've been trying my best to really, you know, especially where I live now, I'm driving. Sometimes people are asking to change in the corner, you know, of the highway. I have to explain to my daughter, you know, and she's like, why do they need money? And I'm like, you know what? They need money right now. And they don't only need money. I try to tell her, like, yo, they right. And I even had to Google, like, what's the better way to describe people who I used to call bums? I used to know there's a bum, or there's a crackhead, there's a dope fiend. Now I learned it, I'm like, you know, language matters. I'm like, oh, you know what? There's people who don't have a home right now. They're in between homes. And then even further, I started realizing that you want to put a name to them. So I started practicing putting a name to a person. So a lot of times, I go out my way to like reverse the effects of just me growing up in the Bronx. Yeah, everybody's a bum who doesn't live in a house. Everybody's a crackhead who's leaning on the, I mean, they probably were crackheads, but you know, everybody's a crackhead who like leaning, you know, so one of the things that I would do to disrupt my own bias was I would ask people without a home what their name is. Like, what's your name? Right? And it worked really well a couple of times. You know, one time I almost came to tears because I asked somebody, I pulled up. It was right here on Western, about when you come in, when you're going west, about to make a left from Van Buren or whatever that street is, you know, when you're about to go, when you get up the highway. And I asked him, oh, that's not even true, I'm like, this particular story, it was actually outside of on Randolph, Michigan. It's outside of this building. And I pull up, and I didn't pull up, I'm walking by, what am I saying? But you know, I'm walking by. So I'm walking, and I was like, you know, I was practicing this thing, like asking homeless people what their name is to disrupt my own bias, because I was catching myself thinking that they were all bums, that they were all crackheads, you know, going through a lot. Man, I asked like, yo, what's your name? And he said Earl. And I remember like, yo, Earl, like DMX? Like, this shit is dope. I never forgot his name. I mean, it's in this fucking bit. And so, like, I remember that, I was like, yo, Earl, what's up, Earl, right? And I made it a point to always remember to say what's up to Earl, you know, and he's not the only person, but he's the only person relevant to this joke. So like, so I went up to him one time, and I was like, yo, Earl, what's up, man? What's up, Earl? And I don't know what was going on with him, you know, there's a lot of things in a lot of people's lives. He didn't recognize me. So he's like, yo, do I fucking know you? And I remember, I was like, damn. I felt mad shitty, you know, like, and I remember being like, that serves me right. He had probably so many moments where people don't even look at him. They don't even acknowledge him as a human being. And then I finally say, oh, what's your name? He tell me, Earl, I say, oh, that's DMX. And then one day I'm like, oh, and he don't even recognize me. That's like negative. So like that, to me, was like, damn, like privilege again. And I feel as though I have a lot of privilege. Another moment, you know. And I'm looking at the room. How many people know about privilege? And particularly like white privilege? Mm-hmm. Like if I say white privilege, anybody have a definition that y'all work with? Anybody want to share?
I mean, it just makes it easier to go through day-to-day life.
Okay, white privilege makes it easier to go through day-to-day life.
You got opportunities that others don't have.
Right. So I realized that I don't have necessarily white privilege, but I have another kind of privilege. Because to me, privilege is the lack of having to worry about something about me. And that helps me have conversations with people. Be like, I don't got no white privilege. You know, like, what do you mean? Like, nobody gave me nothing. I'm like, no, I'm not saying that you got something. Like, hey, here you go, use it. I'm saying that you, at times, depending on where you are and who you with, there's literally little anxiety, little stress around a part of you, about who you are. You don't have to worry about the color of your skin. So to me, it's always like the lack of anxiety around who you are. That's what privilege is to me in the context of like social justice and stuff. And so I realized I had privilege. But I remember when the pandemic started, man, I was so aware of my privilege. Everybody was up buying toilet paper, and it was sold out everywhere. But I was blessed. I went to Japan, and I fell in love with bidets. My God, like, yo, bidets. Like, I remember when I got at the airport, I landed. Hello, these are my sisters who are visiting from Puerto Rico. Hey, okay. One of them ran the marathon, and I'm like, and they were like, what you doing? What are you doing? I'm there. So they said, yeah, I'm here. By the way, I'm only like halfway, I think. I haven't really timed this whole bit. I'm like halfway through, so y'all made it. So, and so, what was that? So basically, I'm in Japan, I land there, and I get to the airport, and I go to the toilet, because I don't play around. I shit around and shit. Like, I don't really care about like the situations. And it's because when in Puerto Rico, I was shitting holes, and there would be like a whole water bugs falling. I had to negotiate with them, like, yo, mira, I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not just sit down. I'm a shit, you let me do my thing. And so like I was ready for anything at the Japanese airport. I realize I have a mic, but I'll be talking from my diaphragm so that y'all can hear me. Yeah. So I get to the Japanese airport, And I immediately discovered a bidet. And I'm crazy because I was like, oh, what's this? And I'm over here pressing buttons. I'm a little curious. So I'm like, oh, what's this? It looked like a pair of butt cheeks with water. So I was like, oh, let me spray. Oh, I was like, yo! But then I was like, yo. And I started like kind of like making sure it was I was like, yo, hold on, wait, there's a missing spot, right? But the thing is, I didn't know how to turn it off. So I was like, oh shit, but luckily I had the Google Translate. The Google, like, it was like an augmented reality thing that you hold it over and it translates things. So I hold it over and immediately I recognized that the thing with the butt cheeks and the spray, it said ass. I was like, oh, I knew that, right? And there's another one that said stop. And so I'm like, oh shit, so I was like, I prepped with it. I was like, well, I want to stop this. But I ended up stopping it, right? So the point is, I fell in love with bidet. So I come back from Japan, 2 years later, the pandemic starts, everybody going crazy buying toilet paper. That's when I realized I had privilege. You know what I mean? But my privilege was not white privilege, it was white privilege. It was white. I didn't have to worry about wiping. Like, I was literally like, yo, they over here buying wipes. I was gonna wipe. I'm like, but that's a lie. That's a lie. I'm lying to y'all. Asterisk, you do wipe, you gotta pat it dry. You can't. You cannot walk out here with a damp ass. That's the opposite of like hygiene. So you know, so privilege is wild. You know, you realize you have white privilege. But something that came out of the pandemic realizing that I'll be sitting down for mad long. I became conscious of like how much I spend on my phone, just like this, or like sitting down. Like it's because like I was home all day. My wife and my kids, I mean, they're amazing, but sometimes I'm like, yo, I need like 8 minutes. And I go and I sit down longer. I'll be like, yo, I'm done, yes, but am I done? So I'll just be there for a long time. But then it got even crazier, right? I'm about to be vulnerable with y'all. I really started sitting down for all kinds of situations. How many people here sit down to pee? Thank you. I told my boy, I'm like, yo, trust. I've been sitting down to pee, bro. He's like, what? And I'm like, yo, first of all, I feel like Fauci would fucking appreciate this. I feel like the backsplash, it helps against the spread of COVID-19. You know what I mean? I really believe it. So I started to sit down more often, and I realized that, like, yo, like that, it makes mad sense, especially when you're in lockdown, you're in your house. Like, why would I stand up thinking I'm at the freaking bar drunk or something? You know what I mean? So I just, thank you, Eva. Yo, you might know what to do, you might know. So we sit down, and I ain't gonna front, like, I sit down and pee. Now, I told my boy, I've only told him a few people, yo, like, damn. Meanwhile, like, y'all all know, but certain people don't know. But I guess I was embarrassed to talk about it because I was like, you know, I guess I was questioning my manhood. Like, I don't know, like, I mean, I can't be the only person thinking like this, but I feel as though, like, manhood be on such thin ice in this society. Like, any little thing. Like, right now, my right foot, not my left, but my right foot has pink toenail polish. And it's because my daughter painted it. You know, and I had to think twice before I posted on social media for some reason. Yeah, my own insecurities, you know. My younger self is like, oh, pink nail polish, what you mean? That's for girls. And my older self is like, no, it's okay. You bugging. Like, do you like men? Or are you okay? Like, what's wrong with, you know, so I'm like, you know, so I posted it. But even now, with admitting like, that I sit down and pee, it just makes sense, right? Half of the people in this room, based on the attendance that I can visually inspect, based on my assumptions on people's gender roles, but like, you know, it's okay to sit down and pee. It makes sense. So, but I just think it's so wild how we walk around on thin ice trying to be a man. Every like manhood is so like hard to acquire, but it's so easy to lose. Like you can lose it like immediately in this society. Like you put on the dress, oh my God, he pussy you. Oh my, like you suck like. And it's so weird to me, like it's such on thin ice manhood, but I really like sometimes I blow that out the water. Like I don't give a fuck. Like go ahead, like whatever. You can think whatever you want of me. Like that's you projecting your insecurities onto me. It's like get out of here with that, you know? But it's funny, and one of the ways that I did that was like getting into boxer briefs. Like boxer briefs was my bra. You know what I mean? I feel like my balls needed support, and like, I just always walking around as a little kid. I used to wear boxers, right? But then I realized like, okay, do I want to go back to wearing briefs? You know, and I'm like, no, as a grown man, I didn't like the look of briefs. No offense to anybody who be rocking briefs and shit, especially. But then boxer briefs is that in between is because that was like homage to bras. Because you know, because I be having things that hang too. They're not heavy and they don't sustain life, you know, but they're a part of what might create a life somewhere, you know. And so like that was my way of kind of like, you know, like like proving to the point, like, yo, like manhood don't have to be on this thin ice. And it also reminds me of why, like, I appreciate women's, the way that y'all go about like self-care. Like, when I discovered pedicures, I was like, yo, why nobody told me about this? Like, you go down, you sit down, somebody rubbing your feet. I'm like, dude, that's so beautiful. And I used to tell my friends, like, yo, I'm going to get a pedicure. They're like, pedicure? They in their brain, they think, oh, you're going to paint your toenails. By the way, I got to paint it. But I'm like, no, it's like somebody rubbing your feet, squeezing it, washing it off. So I'm all about the pedicure. But what's funny is that for a long time, up until literally 1 year ago, so I'm 38, 37, I would go and I would be like, they'd be like, shiny buff? Shiny buff? I'm like, no shiny buff. Like, what I look like to you? Shiny buff is when at the end, you don't want it painted, but you want it to shine it so that it buff it so that it shines. And I used to always be like, nah, like, you bugging me. For as long as I can remember. And I don't know what it was. One day I was like, yo, go ahead, shine that shit. Yeah, like, that shit sparkled, you know? I was really excited about the shiny buff, and I swear to God, it was like one moment randomly. I was like, yo, fuck this man. Like, you know, like I started to reflect. You know, it goes to show you sometimes like you grow, but you still haven't like taken all the things with you that your habits. So I kind of was like, oh wait, let me stop. So I was like, yo, shine that shit up. I'm a man. I'm a fucking man. You know, like I'm a good man. I'm a dope man. Matter of fact, I am a fire of a man. I'm fire. No, but for real, I am actually kind of a fireman because I help my neighbors put out a fire in their place. So you see the pivot, I'm gonna work on that. But basically, so like, my neighbors were smoking a cigarette, a fucking fire started, and then on the balcony, on the wooden, whatever the fuck, deck. And a fucking fire happened. I remember when this shit happened, I said, oh my God, I was built for this moment. So I go inside, I tell my wife, babe, call 911, there's a fire next door. And then I go to I have this long ass 200-foot hose, and I go and I start retracting it. I remember I'm like putting the shit, I'm like this, you know, I'm like so excited because I'm like, yo, I work out. You know, I'm doing like lat pulls like this. And I remember as this happening, I was thinking, I'm not kidding. Yo, I was built for this moment. I'm like this mad, like concentrating. I'm just moving right here. I'm like this. I'm putting this shit out like this, mad good form and shit like this. And I'm like this, and I take it, and it's all like within minutes. My brain is ADHD, so I have 1,000 thoughts happening at a minute. That's my gift. So I'm like, oh shit. So then I take the fucking hose and I throw it on the patio of where I live. Like my daughter's room, outside of it is a balcony, kind of like a patio. So I take it and it fell. But then I ran up and I go and my wife was like, she's looking at me, but I think she calculated what was happening. She's like, oh shit, what's going on? I'm like, did you call 911? She's like, I didn't understand what the fuck you said. I'm like, call 911. There's a fire right next door. And she looks, she said, oh shit, it's a big conflagration. Again, I'm educated, right? So conflagration, so the fucking shit is burning, right? And so then I'm like, I go and I take it out of the throat. It gets there. I go upstairs. You don't know this, but I fucking kick the door. I kick the door to your room to put on the fire at our neighbor's house. So I go and I start spraying. And then 911 gets called, the fire department, and I put it out, y'all. I put the fire out. It was a big fire. It was like a medium fire. It was scary, big to gigantic. But like, so then the fire department comes, and they're like, oh my God, good job. And I felt like, yo, I see, like, I'm a man, I'm a fireman. I felt like, and my neighbor, the owner of that building, he was so appreciative because it could have been really bad. No lie, like it could have been really bad. It was a big fire on the top of wooden. It was falling. It had burned through, and it fell to the next. And they had people moving in the next day, literally the next day. And I put the fire out because it was the middle of the day. It was like 2 in the afternoon. So if no one was there, that would have been like a big fire. And so he was so appreciative. He gave me a $300 gift certificate to a restaurant called Pompeii. You know about Pompeii? Yeah. Right. And it was so crazy because I was like, oh man, fuck. I was like, Pompeii, like, didn't that shit burn down? It was like, man, weird. I was like, this guy's an historian, a landlord, and he's blessing in the brain. But you know what though? I freaking took the $300. I went over there, you know, the first thing I ordered was fucking soup.